are live. Welcome to Patriot Princess, which is like a whole different vibe right now. Excuse me, I'm hydrating with coconut water. Um, and this is a super special episode tonight because this is just like the reemergence, rebirth of the podcast and what we're doing here. You see my little Ariel popping out to use her voice. I want to say it's been over a month off from my last episode, and it has really been all about healing my nervous system. Anybody else? So we got all these energies going on right now with the electromagnetic field, the 1111 portal, everything that's been going on lately. And I have been remiss in using my voice because I allowed, until this week, allowed the third dimension to just really pull me down into that continued fear-based existence. So we're getting into it, and we're really jumping right into it. Like, you see me pulling out my notepad to make notes. And actually, I need to grab another notepad because there's so much stuff. I'm not going to be able to talk about all of it tonight. I want to make a note of the things that I want to be sure to address on the next episode after I touch on them. But I need 2 seconds because I have had a fire going in here, and it is toasty. Hold on. Okay, we're back. We opened the door. We took the shirt off. There's so much, and the energies have been a little overwhelming. I just got off the phone with my cousin, and I just had a major transmission while she and I were on the phone. Not totally relevant to this conversation, but if this is your first time here, hi. My birth name in this life is Elizabeth Liz. I have just adopted my priestess name, Kaiya, and like I'm literally stepping into that and actually changing, like using it on a daily basis. I am a light worker. I'm a energy healer, space holder. I have for years focused on fitness and nutrition. Ended up here because of my own experience in this life where I went through, the alienation, no pun intended, because that's what we are. The isolation, the exclusion, the like public humiliation to really like break you down and like try to make you crack and see if you're gonna stand up and rise through it or what. And I have been going through that this past, especially, I mean, it's been longer than that, but like the last year, I woke up to everything that was going on in the world and around us and realized what was happening, and went through the whole like black sheep phase, the she's crazy phase, let's take her kids away in the divorce phase. And now we're transmuting into the positivity because we've remembered, we're in a simulation, right? And every loop and every shadow and everything that keeps coming back around to you is something that's pushing you to be your own leader, that's pushing you into the role that you're here for. So we're going to talk about all the stuff. We're going to get into the stuff that I started talking about that I stopped talking about because everybody called me crazy. And it's like, no, you're not crazy. This is really what's happening. And, look, I got my tiny Jesus right here. Yeshua, My little tiny Yeshua right over here, smiling at me, looking at me with his red sash. He's the root chakra. Um, Sitting right here, egging me on, encouraging me. So, we were all born divine beings of light, manifested in flesh. We are all uh, pieces of God. We are all pieces of stardust here for an experience, for a specific mission. Like, sin doesn't exist. Um, that's something born into this existence. You're indoctrinated into religion, into school, into government, into this psychological and sociological manipulation to that they and the elites keep us in low vibration to keep feeding off of us and to keep us in a slave race, slave culture, so we don't know who we are and what our capabilities are. And that is what Yeshua came here as I clink. Wander fearlessly. Um, that is Yeshua's message that he came here to teach us. And I'm not calling him Jesus anymore because that wasn't his actual name. That's what um, Roman imperialism flipped it around when they manipulated the Bible, manipulated his teachings, put everybody into a fear, shame-based existence. That's what they changed his name to, because our words are spells, our words have power, and they wanted to take away the power of using his true name, Yeshua, and waking up to to realizing that something's been wrong this whole time, and I've brought it up throughout my life and been pushed into silence those other times too. What was that just flew up here? But the matrix isn't a place. It's a vibration. It's a program. It's a pattern system that we outgrow. Um, Realizing that no one's coming down to save us, that we are here to save ourselves by becoming the version of us that we were meant to be. And Yeshua came to teach us ascension. He didn't come to teach religion. He came to teach us that God is within, Christ is in you. He was a radical. He was a lover and supporter and advocate for women, not this controlling dynamic that has been developed. And that's like the biggest thing, that I, my funny bone, that I woke up to is like, what's the tone in your home? Like, are you husband and wife? Are you partners? Are you running it together? Or is somebody like in control and taking a voice away from you? Because there's a difference there between like having a male leader in the household, because when you are a divine healed masculine, divine healed feminine, and I don't necessarily say healed because people feel like, oh, if they're not healed, there's something wrong with them. But again, your words are spells. So as long as you tell yourself you're whole, you're healed, you're loved, you're safe, like, yeah, there's still stuff stuck in your tissue that you need to get out. But you don't have to be defined by the story anymore. You can choose to be healed. Where our bodies are made for self-healing. And that's the other point we're going to get into. But all the stuff that I've been talking about, are you ready for some tea? Shall we with the tea? Mm-hmm. I met these ladies. I'm in Berkeley Springs right now, which is a whole nother thing I'll get into. I'm got called here for grid work for the 1111 portal, the energies here. I actually just found out today that apparently it is an old Appalachian dragon line. And the dragons have been coming through for a while for me too. So, I'm gonna put a pin in the apothecary lady and get through like these themes first. And I pulled a bunch of Bible references because the Bible itself is full of valuable information. You just have to know how to read it properly. And you know what I'm going to do for just a second? I know I already Abby said, hang on while I took my shirt off, but I'm going to go get another notebook. And I love that I opened it to the page that says, be somebody who makes everybody feel like a somebody, because everybody is somebody. And that's the whole point, is in so many of my experiences in this life, I've been taught that or told that my story didn't matter, that my voice didn't matter, and, that I was a nobody. And it's like, no, everybody is somebody. Everybody is somebody's daughter or son or husband or wife or brother or sister or friend or loved one or something to someone. Even if it's just to yourself, like, everybody is somebody, and everybody has their own talents. Everybody has their own spark. Like, everybody is here for something, to bring something to the world. And any system that makes you feel like that isn't the case isn't a system you should be listening to. But this is my teacher notebook that I got because I am ready to teach what I have learned, what I know, the innate wisdom that I carry as a starseed in my mission here, because everybody has a knowing and a wisdom. We're all part of one. We're all connected. And I kept telling myself I wasn't ready, and that was wrong. And today is the 13th, and it's my lucky day. So I'm making some notes on what I want to talk about in our next episode based on what I do or don't get to talk to. Don't get to speak on. So, here we go. Read means go, and it means heart chakra. I did this really incredible 15 chakra activation last night by Dr. Simon B. Lee, and I'll share his website down below. These are my notes. Share. As my follow-up for this episode. We'll share his website below, because it was just a really phenomenal activation meditation. Okay, so where was I? Yeshua was a radical. He was flipping tables in the temple, advocate for women, not about control, not about dominance, but about divine union together. Mary Magdalene was his partner. She was a powerful priestess. They had children, and they practiced more of a druidic mysticism, earth reverence, earth magic practice, not this Christianity that exists today. And it was focused on meditation and ritual dance and plant medicine and prayer. Like, all of that was prayer. The Gnostic Gospels, the mystery schools, the Celtic Druidic mystery traditions, like, it all, that is what it boils down to, people, the stuff that's been hidden from us. And, they produced a bloodline. That bloodline, this is what I've talked about so much, is here now, remembering we talk about the 144,000. We're the bloodline of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, here with missions to assist in activating and leading humanity into the new level of consciousness. Like New Earth, if you've heard people talk about New Earth, it's already here. It's a vibration that already exists, and you can step right into it. And those of us that are stepping into that mission, there's many that are already in it and doing it. And new waves of light workers are coming online, and we're stepping into mission of really anchoring in this frequency as well, and creating a new earth to be a anchor of truth in a world of chaos. Because everything is energy, And that's what Yeshua came to teach too, that everything is unconditional love. He was not sitting here teaching us to worship one man and to be afraid and to be fearful and to be shameful. Have you noticed all the people starting to like just all of a sudden like sell their stuff and travel all over the place, or like become a nomad and like go to places around the world? That's like, what are they doing? I've been doing it, and I realized it's grid work. It's ley lines. Like, you're going to places where you had past lives. You're going to places that are activating different parts of your soul, where you're reclaiming your fragmentation so that you can step into a bigger purpose and be an example to others that money and materialism is not what we're here for. We're here to be one. We're all part of the one consciousness. We're supposed to be living in community and unity and taking care of Mother Earth and taking care of each other. Have you started hearing voices? Or suddenly you're just like your ancestors are coming to you, like in dreams, or you hear them? That's your higher self, that's your ancestors, that's your guides sending you messages, because you also probably have next steps, which are here to help guide others in doing. A lot of my gift, my contribution is related to health and fitness and related to what we're putting in our bodies. And like safety awareness. What is safe for humanity? Let's actually like talk about it. And like, let's talk about what's going on in the world. Because I will tell you, I witnessed a conversation the other day where I participated in a conversation where we were literally talking about the parking meter people in Berkeley Springs, and how there's like one parking meter person that will literally like come into the stores and get quarters to put them in people's meters if he sees that they're about to run out of time, instead of getting them a ticket. And then there's another person that will literally walk around with a tape measure to see how far off the curb you are and ticket you for being too far off the curb per the like ordinance. And it's just the gap between those two mindsets is just flabbergasting, to where like there's are people in the world that don't have anywhere to live, that don't have any shelter, that don't have any food, that don't have any support, and we're over here measuring how far you're parked off the curb and writing you a ticket for that. Come on, meow. Seriously, that's what's important. Mm. It's so frustrating. And that phrase, like minding the gap, actually has come up for me a lot. I just came back from 2 weeks in Europe, and like technically homeless. Like, my body is my home. That's my initiation that I've been going through with spirit, that I'm changing right now, making changes in that pattern to address. But I I got called there to go to places, and found out, it's like there's no accident that you ended up in Glastonbury, which is like Stargate 11, and ley lines around the world, and just like a very powerful spiritual place in the Magdalene bloodline, and the Magdalene priestesshood. And so just realizing that these places I've been in, these places I've been going to, there's no accidents that you're there. You're getting activated. And I finally was stepping into that calling of like, oh, my spirit guides have been trying to get me to do that since like last November. And now I'm finally doing it. But mind the gap was a theme that came up in so many different places, and I saw it everywhere because I was taking trains. And they tell you mind the gap when you step off. There's a space between the platform and the train, or there's a big step down. And it just like it was a running theme for things that I was becoming aware of around me. And it's like the gap in wealth, the disparity between wealth and poverty, what we define as poverty, has been insane. And it's like, why do we have people that are billionaires? Why do we have people that have private islands? Why do we have people that have so many homes and cars and planes and trucks, and then we have people that have literally fucking nothing? And a lot of them are still just grateful to be alive. We have children starving in countries. We have, in America, in what I specifically experienced in this lifetime is victims of survivors. I'm not going to say victims, survivors of PTSD, of psychological, emotional, financial abuse, having our magic taken away from us. Like, how dare we know who we are and speak up about it and get silenced? And because someone else has more money, because we question their way of belief, because we question the systems that they continue to blindly follow, that they're zombies too. And so, black sheep me all you want. I will happily be the black sheep because I'm not living in the illusion anymore. I'm not falling for the illusion anymore. Anybody else with me? Yeah? So, we're talking about what's safe for people, because a lot of times what I've also noticed is that people just follow the rules. Ooh, light just popped on outside. People just do what they're told rather than go, does this make sense? Question everything. Question everything. And say, why are we doing this? Because if there's a valid reason to it, okay. And that is something that's come up for me with especially my kids, and like explaining to them instead of blind obedience. I'm asking you to do this because of XYZ, instead of just do what I tell you to because. And teaching people, well, we already have an explanation. There's already a reasoning. You don't need to think for yourself. What's the best way to take away the sovereignty of a group of people, of a race of people, is to indoctrinate them into systems and tell them not to question, that it's already been thought up for them so that they don't have to use their brains, to put chemicals in their water and their food, the things that they need to keep them alive, to dim their body, because your body is an actual like electromagnetic machine. It is your spiritual antenna, and it is your temple. And when it is in balance and working properly, then you can tap into consciousness. When you are numb and dumb with all the toxins in the air, the soil, your water, your food, your media, your electronics, your societal systems, man's law versus God's law, right? Your programming, sex, that's a big one. That's a really big one, because your sexual energy is your creative life force. It's your chi. It must be maintained and protected to raise that energy up to your crown. That's your kundalini energy that people, want to talk about as dangerous. Ooh, I'm hitting the incense right now. It's why moving energy is so important. That's actually what being born again experience allows, that expansion of consciousness. So you have the Christ oil, the chrism oil. There's this amazing book that it's got multiple volumes, the Book of Wisdom. There's so many different materials that you could pull together, and I have a bunch of other references as well, but these have been eye-opening for me. I'll put links down to them below if you're interested in getting them, because it's mind-blowing, the stuff that comes flooding back to you when you start reading this. But we have a oil that moves up the back of our spine to our brain. So, I mean, you can go back and look at ancient Egypt. Again, there's so much to talk about. I can't cover all of it in one episode. But we will get into more of that. But everything comes down to what we're consuming. That energy moving it up our spine to get to the brain is what gives you that expansion of consciousness as well. And things that increase your neuroplasticity. mushrooms. And a lot of people, and psychedelics, different psychedelics, and it's not about the psychedelic experience is the only way to get in touch with God, because it's not really about putting you in touch with God. It increases neuroplasticity in your brain, especially through microdosing, and the different types of mushrooms, lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, chaga, turkey tail, are big ones for specific cognition related, immunity related, anxiety reduction, relaxation. That's plant medicine, people, by the way. And sorry, something's coming through right now. It's not that psychedelics, channeling a little bit here, not a little bit. They want to talk through me. It's not that psychedelics are the specific connection to God, but they are here as teachers. The plants are here as teachers. Everything has a spirit, everything has an intention, and it's here to show you something as well. So a lot of that plant medicine work shows you shadows, shows you triggers, shows you the things that you're holding onto or that are subconsciously within that you have to let go of in order to fully connect. And I actually had a really big transmission, several this week, related to stuff that I was still holding on to. Like, I have been going through these survival mode loops since really like July, August. And letting go of certain things to get to this point where I'm like, oh, right, okay, I'm here to talk about all this stuff. I'm here to talk about my experience. I'm here to be an example guide to others of how to wander fearlessly. This is me in service, at your service. You know, when something falls off and it's like you finish a cycle of something, like we're wandering fearlessly now. But the biggest thing I want to talk about tonight specifically is your food. Like I said, it comes down to everything that you're consuming and absorbing. It's not just, we touched on media, water, food, air, soil. There's so much involved, but your food and your water are directly affecting your ability to get in touch with source and yourself, because you are a piece of God. You are a piece of source. If you are in communion with source, that's you being in communion with yourself and going inward, because you are who you've been waiting for this whole time to show up for yourself and give yourself unconditional love. But one of the heaviest ways that we're controlled by the powers that be is through our food sources and what we're putting in our bodies and what has been normalized. And we are, electromagnetic machines, so to speak. I don't like the word machine, because we're not like a machine. But I'm going to read you this one page because I made a note on it that, like, we're human, right in here. I'm going to quote this book. As a human, we are an attribute of a color defined by the unique frequency we vibrate at, placing us within a specific spectrum. Each individual is the mind, not the physical body. Without the mind, the body and the physical world would cease to exist. The mind is spirit, the intelligence that directs the body and shapes the world around us. It functions like a frequency tuner, aligning itself with various frequencies. The mind resides in the mental plane, which is a shared realm linking all minds in the universe. Thoughts are not created by the individual, but received. Thoughts are not created by the individual but received. Depending on the frequency to which our mind is tuned, when we focus on a topic such as generating wealth, we tune into that frequency in the mental plane and receive ideas and thoughts that align with it. So whatever you're thinking about is what shows up in front of you. But what's, human, because we're light, the attribute of colors that permits them to be classed as red, yellow, green, blue, or an intermediate between any contiguous pair of these colors. And our mind usually operates on a dominant frequency based on our daily thinking habits. Each frequency corresponds to a color. As such, our mind manifests colors in the astral plane according to the frequency we operate on. Carrying hate, for example, generates reddish colors. This is why the word human refers to an attribute of color. Our goal should be to a sense of violet, the highest frequency and vibrational color in the light spectrum. We are light beings in physical form, manifesting our true essence through the frequencies we align with. And that's where colors of the rainbow come in so heavily with everything, because they relate to our chakras, they relate to our auras, they relate to the foods that we're eating, and how we vibrate. The ancient Egyptians, the ancient Kemetics, possessed a profound understanding of reality and the brain's functions, which is why this knowledge is embodied in their sculptures and artworks. Remember how I mentioned the ancient Egyptians and the brain earlier? When we're talking about the elements, like, the elements exist only within the mind. Humans are God manifested in flesh. Each of us is a fraction of God in separate bodies, connected through the universal mind. God is mind, and all things exist within this infinite intelligence. God is constantly thinking all things into existence, and through our thoughts, we participate in the divine creative process. Like, you're creating constantly when you're thinking. And so, if you're not thinking, you're not creating. But if you're living in a fear-based existence and the things that you're thinking about are negative, like they have an effect. As above, so below. As above, so below. When you're thinking stuff up here, it's happening down here. As within, so without. Whatever you're thinking on in here, whatever you're worried about, guess what? That's going to happen in your outside too. And this is where people get tired of me because I'm like the synchronicity lady. Like, it's related to everything. And I'm sure you've heard where nature repeats itself. Like, when you look at the human body and look at the things in nature, we mimic. Trees, like waterways, look like our veins. Trees look like our lungs. Like, there's the mycelium network of mushrooms looks like our fascia connecting our tissue and our muscle, and that is a lot of where we hold our negativity and emotion and feelings that we need to let out is in our fascia. That's why you're seeing me. Here's my fascia blaster. I think I put it in my backpack because I went and took it to the mineral soap earlier. Working out that stuff that is still stuck in the tissue. I digress. Oh, but like, for example, what is happening in your home, this is why I mentioned earlier, what's the tone in your home? What's happening in your home? It's happening on the inside of you. It's happening on the outside of you. When my ex and I went to sell our house, we had issues with a potential crack across the front of the foundation in the in-law suite where my mom lived. My mom being a weight on our marriage that we didn't work through. Like, it was literally a crack in the foundation of our relationship. It was, and that in-law suite attached to the house was actually, after we moved in, it was like settling down into the ground. It was literally like sinking next to the side of the house. And like, if that's not the universe saying, this is sinking your marriage, this is sinking your relationship, this is not yours to carry, this is not yours to hold. We didn't listen to that. We didn't pay attention to that. The other issue was with the septic. The other big issue was with the septic. The guts of the house. I was somebody early in our relationship, and again, this is not about being a victim, it's just an example of how, as within, so without, what's going on inside of you is happening on the outside of you. Uh, our like guts were so unhealthy. When uh, part of my story that I've shared in earlier episodes, when I had my awakening and decided I wanted a divorce. We'll talk about that in a minute. I went vegan. I went gluten free. It was like completely spirit led health endeavor, and cut out all of the processed stuff, and just started being attracted to specific supplements, which I've been putting together to share with everybody of the supplements I've been using. I literally stubbed my toe on it right before I started recording this podcast of this is what you got to finish putting together for everybody. Share your protocol of what you did on, I lost over 80 pounds in less than 6 months. And it wasn't by working out hours a day. It wasn't by completely starving myself. It was by making healthy choices with my food, cutting out dead things, because we're not meant to eat dead flesh. We're meant to eat living things to get us into alkalinity. And gluten-free, especially in the States, because our wheat is modified to really create issues in our gut. And when we get into the gut health, when I talk about the guts of the house, the guts of our country, our existence, the guts of people, that's your first brain. Like when you say trust your gut, like we got to heal our gut so we can trust him again, because your gut is what sends you those indications to your heart and your brain that you're either safe or you're not, or that something's trustworthy or not. And when they're completely clogged up with dairy, with dead flesh, with gluten, with eating 3 meals a day, which your body really doesn't need, it drives all of your energy into digestion instead of the thought process. Like, have you ever noticed how if you work if you work like an office job or something, after you have lunch, you come back and the second half of the day is like so much more, because all of your brain function and energy is going to digesting instead of allowing the rest of you to function properly. And, your food intake directly affects your sexual energy, which is your chi, and it affects your gut health. Pretty much most of Americans are full of parasites from the food that they're eating, and that also comes into what you're thinking as well. The dairy, the gluten, it's wet foods. I had acupuncture the other day, and we were talking about like blockage in the spleen. And actually, I also saw a human design coach when I went to this retreat in Belgium, and she was telling me that I am a very like gut spleen connected in my human design. And one of the worst things you can do for your spleen, the acupuncturist told me, is eat wet foods. And she said specifically dairy, wheat, and sugar. What do we pump our entire country full of? Dairy, wheat, and sugar is everything that is in front of us, everything that is readily available, everything that is pushed in our face as like American tradition. Pizza, hot dogs, hamburgers. What's American tradition is a cookout with hamburgers, hot dogs, barbecue, pizza. Like, what kind of traditions do we put in front of people all the time centered around food? Sports weekends filled with sports, with football, with all kinds of cheese dips, meat dips. Like, everybody's numb, dumb, full of this stuff where food is supposed to be medicine, and it's turned into stuff that's keeping us so unhealthy. Look at our holiday functions where it's like the entire family's passed out on the couch afterwards because everybody has stuffed themselves full of things that make you exhausted. And that's how we get controlled. That's how the elites control us, is by knowing that when they put these things in our food and then normalize it and tell us it's convenient and it's good for us. I mean, all the dyes, like red dye number 5. I did a sound bath today, and she was just an absolutely lovely practitioner. And we were talking about, yep, religious hypocrisy and red dye number 5. That's what we're filling our children with. Religious hypocrisy and red dye number 5. And the stuff that is illegal, I have this whole sheet that I ran. Thank you, ChatGPT, of all of the like chemicals that exist in our food and especially cosmetics and like cleaning products in the US that are illegal in other countries. Especially Europe, where they're like, oh, well, if they find out that this item in food is having adverse effects, like they don't put it in the food anymore. Instead, over here, we're like, oh, please, can you put it in more stuff? Can you double our servings, maybe? And people don't want to be wrong either. So it's like when you are health conscious or in shape, everybody makes you feel like the outcast for being in shape. And all that just made me want to do is, ain't nobody dope as me. I dress so fresh and so clean. Like, I eat so fresh and so clean. And it makes people mad because they're like, oh, well, you must do this and you must do that. And it's not about, like, why are we shaming people for being in shape? Why is being overweight, out of shape, exhausted, running yourself around, why is that the norm? Question everything. Anything damp and genetically modified, that's what I was just talking about. Preservatives, all the hormones that are in our milk, it all messes with your chemical, bacterial, and fungal state in the body. And when you are, my internet connection, when you are out of balance with those electrical and energetic fields in your body, everything's thrown off. So let's talk about a few things that you can immediately do with your nutrition specifically to cut toxins and parasites out of your body, cleanse, and get a better gut, heart, mind balance. Go vegan, cut out the dead flesh, gluten-free, cut out that wheat that's causing all these issues in your body. Go for fresh fruits, vegetables, preferably stuff from farmers markets that hasn't been sprayed with preservatives or like put on a truck, like sent clear across the country. And that's the other question. Like, again, question everything. Why are most of our grocery stores filled with stuff that we're shipping all over the place? And our farmers are like trying to survive at farmers markets on the weekends, or they're going around to like 5 and 6 different markets to try to make ends meet. And we're shipping stuff across the country for our grocery stores. Not to mention like the toll, mic drop, the toll that takes on our infrastructure, on our roads, on our air quality by all of the trucks that are having to drive all over the place to truck stuff around. That, why are we trucking it around? Because it doesn't make sense. Because it's controlled over the supply chain and control over what we're being fed. Water. Coconut water. Watch the stuff with added sugar. And mineral waters, because minerals are very important to your body. If you are in mineral deficiency and magnesium deficiency, your body is not operating properly, which means you're not getting gut, heart, mind balance. We're kept in magnesium deficiency on purpose because, again, our bodies don't operate, our antenna doesn't operate properly, but we don't have enough salt in us. And like, so many people are like, oh, we got to keep our sodium down, Why? Who told you to keep your sodium down? your doctor who learned it in medical school, who just was told we got to keep sodium down for these reasons and follow it. But what are you given when you're dehydrated? What's in electrolytes? And like all these, drinks that are out here now are electrolyte drinks. Magnesium. What do they give you at the hospital when you're dehydrated? IV bags have saline solution in them. It's magnesium. It's salt water. They give you salt water when you're dehydrated because your body is 70% salt water. You should be drinking salt water throughout the day. And we're told drink a gallon of water, but we're not told drink a gallon of water with salt and lime juice. A little bit of Himalayan salt and some lime juice in your spring water, your mineral water. So hydrating. And we're told, drink a gallon of water, drink 8 glasses of water a day, drink up to a gallon. But if it's not salt water and you're drinking a gallon of water a day, what's it doing? Flushing out, diluting the sodium that's in your system, the magnesium that's in your system that you need to function properly. Okay. So those are some things, actionable steps you can take right away to improve your health situation, and I promise you, weight will start falling off of you. Health conditions that you've had will start reversing because your body's actually made to self-heal. And like I was saying in my story, going vegan, going gluten-free, getting back into yoga. Yes, I got back into exercising and taking care of myself. When I had my awakening, I was over 200 pounds. I was drinking 2 bottles of wine a day, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, just to paint a plastic smile on my face and act like everything was okay. And within 6 months, I was in like bodybuilding condition again. And people are like, oh my gosh, what have you been doing? And it's like, I started taking care of myself again, which we don't give people the space to do anymore. What do we do to moms? We put the weight of the world on their shoulders and tell them they got to do everything and do it themselves. What do we do to men? We put them in this mindset situation where they're, sitting there receiving everything but not serving in the same way. They're controlling but not giving. I'm not sitting here blaming anything on anyone. This is not about anyone like pointing fingers at anyone. This is about the psychological and sociological manipulation that's been put in place to keep our divine masculine and divine feminine at odds with each other, out of balance with their natural energy flow, to keep us at odds, to keep us from operating in divine union. Because if we're operating in divine union and we know what's going on, then we can't be controlled. There's so much that I have written down. Mindfulness practices, breathing, breath work, somatic therapy, your nervous system is ultimately the difference in your vibration. If your nervous system is shot, which so many people's are, I was on a meditation tonight where somebody brought up, we've been told that managing our nervous systems over the next few years is going to be the key to our vibrational energy. And it's because we all have so much trauma in us, because we've been conditioned to be in survival mode, to be in fight or flight, to be in this fear, shame-based existence, so afraid of hell that, we don't want to do anything on earth. Hell is not a place. We're already, like, you can be in it every day. You can be in hell on earth, or you can be in heaven on earth. It's all about your vibrational frequency. And the nervous system work, because you're holding stuff in your tissue, and in your I wrote them down: parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. And gosh, we're at 49 minutes already. There's a lot to get into to explain all of that. So we're going to talk about nervous system reset specifically on the next episode. But one crucial thing that's going to help with that is your food. And yoga, meditation, exercise, actually feeling your feelings. You have to feel things to heal it. And that, again, is where our sociological, psychological manipulation comes in, where we've taught people it's not okay to have feelings. It's not okay to have emotions. We send you to schools every day that teach you, here are all the answers. You don't need to think for yourself. And that feeling any kind of way about it is unacceptable. When I spoke about remembering who I am, what we're here for, it's kind of like, no, you're not allowed to think that. And I know, because I've met so many other people that are like, yeah, I'm the black sheep, or yep, I was made out to be crazy for talking about this stuff. And now we're finding our communities and our tribes and realizing, no, we're the ones that are here to lead the way in this. And it's not about recognition. It's not about like tooting your own horn of I'm a leader, I'm a teacher. It's about being an example and being in service, because it's not about validation and notoriety. It's about, I agreed to come here to help other people with this. Doing stuff that makes you happy. Your greatest joy. Who would have thunk? Joy is what we're here for. Because we've been convinced that going to work every day, making money to make somebody else rich, is what we're here for. That we can't take vacation, that we can't invest in family time, that taking off work, like, my ex was given off work more for divorce because everybody was like, oh my gosh, your wife is leaving you, we're so sorry. Then he was given off when I had a baby, when I had our second baby and had a C-section. He went back to work after 2 weeks and left me at home with a newborn, a 2-year-old, and a lady in a wheelchair and no help. And that was like, I have to go to work to put a roof over our head. And again, this is not about being a victim. It's about questioning everything of where in our society did we make it okay? Did we make it the norm to be like, nope, going to work is more important than providing the support for my partner. And it's all over the place. And especially in America, especially when it comes to families that are having kids, like the support that's in place after birth for paternity leave, maternity leave, the pressure of like, you can't get insurance coverage, long-term disability or short-term disability to cover your maternity leave unless you actually get it before you're pregnant. So unless you know you're going to get pregnant or are planning to try to get pregnant and decide to pay for it ahead of time, even though you're not pregnant already, no, you get pregnant, you don't have it already, sorry, you can't get any short-term disability insurance to help cover your expenses while you're on maternity leave that your job won't pay for. How is that safe for people? How is that safe for humanity? How is that a good idea? That's just stress and pressure. We're just putting more stress on people. Those are the systems that are in place that we accept as normal. Why do we accept that as normal? Sex trauma. That's my next big one. Right? We're going to talk more about food. We're going to talk more about mindfulness and the nervous system reset and gut detox, because really your gut health is what it all boils down to about bringing this out. What it all boils down to that I'm going to be fine, fine, fine. Right? When you detox your gut, you're going to be fine, fine, fine. But our food and water, the things that, like, what's the best way to control society is affect what they're drinking, what they're eating, 11-11, where their shelter is, how they feel safe, and their reproduction. Our sexual interactions. And like I mentioned earlier, that men and women have been flipped upside down in this, like, emotional, energetic balance. So when you're having sexual interactions with people, like, that is an energetic exchange, sacred energetic exchange. And if you are having an energetic exchange with somebody that does not value you, your body, your soul, your purpose, your person in the same way that you do, it leaves negative imprint. It leaves trauma in your tissue. And that is what numbs you, can numb you in future relationships. I'm poking. Oh, did you see that poke in my ear? I myself have experienced that throughout my life, that I have been numb in sexual interaction, and I didn't realize it's because of prior energetic exchanges, and it's also related to generational um, trauma and generational stuff that's passed down through your DNA. So you hear people talk about the generational curse breakers, and now scientifically it's being shown that certain genetic markers being passed down are related to how your ancestors grew up. Were they hunter-gatherers? Did they have to live in survival mode because while they're out trying to get food, they could be eaten alive? That stuff gets passed down through your DNA, and for women in particular, eggs that are formed in the woman's body. Like, I was in my grandmother's body, in the eggs, because she gave the eggs to my mother when she conceived her. Like, all the way down to that microscopic level is just absolutely mind-blowing. But what you think of, what we need to remember as we're working our way through this, because we realize we're carrying a bunch of stuff that doesn't belong to us to carry, is that each generation is handing down not only what they lived through and survived through, but they're handing down their past life trauma as well. They're handing down the generations that came through them, and they're handing down their past lives. And when you think about the fact that we have reincarnated as different plants, different animals, different cultures, like I've come back in different lives. I've been black, I've been Asian, I've been Native American, I've been white, I've been all of these things in past lives, and so have my ancestors. So all of these cultures end up being within us somewhere. Like, there's a reason that I'm super attracted to hip hop. There's a reason that Afro beats make me want to like shake my butt and just enjoy life and move. And I've been conditioned through my life to be afraid of that. Not anymore, but to be afraid of that because it was either culturally appropriating or, inappropriate, or you're a white girl, why do you listen to hip hop? Well, because there's something about that beat that just makes you go. And it's because of my past lives. It's because of my ancestry that isn't necessarily linked to this life. And this is where we've created racism to keep us divided, to keep us separate, instead of realizing we're all part of the one. We've all been here in so many different forms and had so many different experiences. And hearing about that and respecting that in each other isn't something that we often give. So again, when we talk about generational trauma being passed down, it's not just like my mom, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother. It's also all of the past lives that they have encountered before they've come here as well. That's a lot. That's a lot for us to be working through. So, going through this trauma release for a lot of people is really crucial. And how do we do that? How do we regulate our nervous system? So again, we're going to really dig into that on the next episode. But a couple of things right off the bat. We talked about food. We talked about going vegan, gluten-free. And again, yes, it's overwhelming to do everything at once. If you make big changes at once, you're going to see big results. If you make small changes, you're going to see small actionable changes. You don't have to go from one extreme to the other. I end up being a person of extremes, and that's how I've ended up in this back and forth over the past year. Finding the balance in between has been crucial for me. And cutting out alcohol. Yeah, that's the next one we're going to really dig into with our nervous system as well. Um, but so food, cutting out the sugar. Oh yeah, because alcoholism is the problem. That light just fell over, and so did my sign that said, "You're so loved," and it fell right around my grinder because plant medicine, calming your nervous system. Talk about cannabis and calming your nervous system. Uh, is a plant you can use, and again, topically for chronic pain. You can cook with it and ingest with it. It was actually not made to be smoked. It's meant to be consumed to help with gut healing and to help with regulation of your nervous system. With some things, 11:17 as I said that. A couple of things that you can do immediately to help with your nervous system if you're somebody that struggles with anxiety, with depression, is breath work. Box breathing. I'm going to teach you box breathing right off the bat is one thing right off the bat, one breathing technique I can give you immediately that you can start implementing that when you feel like you're having a panic attack, start your box breathing. And it's a 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. It's the box. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. And repeat that sequence. And I like to count for myself 2, 3, 4, and I'll count on the inside for myself because I'm breathing while I'm doing it. 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. Great little pattern you can get yourself into. I'm like really starting to make it a daily practice as well. So I'm not sitting here trying to perform myself as perfect. That this is something that I myself am implementing these things to finally get my nervous system in check after being in survival mode for months. That's one thing you can do for your nervous system right off the bat. And shaking is another thing you can literally do. Taylor Swift told you, shake it off. When you're feeling energy, you got to move pent up energy. When you're getting anxious, when you're getting upset, when you're getting whatever emotion it is, you have to move it through you. So shaking it out, jumping up and down, look like an idiot. It's fine. Who cares? Who cares? It's moving the energy through your body and getting it out of you and will help with the nervous system reset. Think about when you see dogs. When dogs or cats, I guess you don't see cats do it as much, huh? But when dogs shake their whole body, they're doing a nervous system reset. And I actually was told that years ago by a neuromuscular therapist I was working with as well, that, hey, you see animals do this. They don't sit there and think about it. It's something they do intuitively, instinctively. They know how to reset that nervous system. And it's something that most of the time we've had conditioned out of us to not intuitively know how to do those things for ourselves because we've been told not to trust our intuition because we've been put in positions where being our authentic selves is told it's not acceptable. You have to follow the norm. You have to follow what everybody else is doing, and then that's okay. And we've taken the ability, like we've filled everybody's guts up with poison, so they're not in touch with their intuition anyway. So we're relearning how to do all of this stuff for ourselves once you start breaking out of the psychological programming. And the sex trauma. Trigger warning. Most of us are holding rape trauma. A lot of us are holding rape trauma. And a lot of it feels like rape trauma as well because of the negative energetic exchange that we've had with casual sex partners that you don't realize, especially like sex under the influence isn't consensual sex. It's not a consensual act when you're under the influence to be able to knowingly say, this is my intention going into this is my energy going into this, and I accept your energy going into this. Like, it's such a muted gray area that we have normalized, and it's filling us all with trauma in our womb centers that we don't realize we're holding. And then again, the synchronicities, as above, so below, as within, so without, the trauma you're holding in your tissue conceiving children while holding womb trauma, like it's very much going towards this whole Handmaid's Tale existence, where there's only a certain amount of women which are going to be able to reproduce healthy babies, and they're typically like the wild women because they're unapologetically themselves. They've worked through a lot of that trauma. People that are holding shame, are holding guilt, are holding the generational trauma and holding it in their wombs are a lot of people that are having fertility issues, or a lot of people that are having reproductive issues because they're not tying in that emotional aspect. They all think it's something, yes, there could be chemical imbalances, but guess what? Your chemical imbalances are tied to some sort of emotional imbalance as well. It's literally all tied together, and that's the part of it in our medical industry that we're not addressing for the most part either, is that emotional, energetic manifestation that is related to whatever the physical, chemical issue, medical issue is. And a lot of that has to do with how heavily rooted in shame our sexuality is. No one speaks up about what they want, so you're staying unsatisfied, so you're not having a truly loving sexual experience, or the other person gets offended by what you're asking for. And that's something I've experienced heavily in my life, is by speaking up about what I enjoy in a sexual relationship has partners react in like, I don't want to be told what to do, or obviously I'm not good enough, or obviously I can't please you, or why don't you just go ahead and handle it yourself if I can't do it right. That's when I got all the time. If I don't know how to do it, you just do it. That's communication with your partner, where you're trying to communicate these are the things that will give me a sexually gratifying experience, but you are entitled to as a human being. You're entitled to have a sexually gratifying experience, and you're worthy of being with someone that loves you enough to try to give you that, to communicate with you and work through that. And it also has to do with being in a relationship with somebody that has sexual trauma and has rape trauma and has been sexually assaulted or sexually abused, and is either not opened up about it and they're holding it inside, and that affects how they're reacting to their partner, and their partner may not know that. So being in a space where it's safe to talk about the things that we've experienced and lived through that are affecting our actual like emotional existence and endeavors. And again, past life trauma, because sometimes you don't even know why you're reacting a certain way to your partner, because it's something that happened in a past life for you, or happened in a past life for an ancestor that you don't even know you're carrying around. And we have taken away the normalization of past life regression therapy, or any of the things that you can do to really tap into that and go, oh, this isn't mine. This isn't mine to hold on to anymore. That's something that's been really challenging for me to go through. And I see is on my tattoo here, my little girl, Addie, is coming up, because she is autistic undiagnosed. I don't need her to be diagnosed because I already know. Mother's intuition, that's also very real. Very real. Women's intuition, everyone has intuition. Women are more in touch with those emotional feelings. We're more in touch with that just innately in our being. We're the wisdom keepers, we're the oracles, we're the seers. We just know a lot of times. But what we are carrying forward in our sexual encounters, as well as our food and the way we're giving birth, is contributing to those autism levels as well. And the gut unhealth, the dairy, the gluten is also, I was just reading this book today. I don't have it in hand reach, about the medical, like, sciences finally catching up to the things in food that are affecting those. And I was reading another book about gut health, listening to an audiobook that was talking about C-sections. Actually, let's look at that one. And how C-sections are now really being shown to have an effect on autism because children are not being exposed to the natural gut bacteria that that they're made that literally they're intended to be exposed to through our natural birth patterns. And now we've changed the way people give birth, where we're doing tons of C-sections. We're throwing women on their backs instead of letting them be in an upright position. We're throwing women on their backs and giving them epidurals so they can't feel anything, and they're in a gravitationally counterintuitive position to give birth. Women used to give birth in squatting positions, in water, and it's just been so manipulated. The book that I was listening to is called The Good Gut by Justin Sonnenberg, and I'm looking at my duties. There's two authors, Justin and Erica Sonnenberg. They're husband and wife, but it's called The Good Gut. And literally within the first 15-20 minutes of listening to it, when they started talking about C-sections, I was like, oh, and that's where so many of these immunity issues come in as well. Because kids aren't being exposed to the natural bacteria that they're meant to be exposed to during the birthing process. There's so much more to get into as well. But we talked about a few actionable things you can do for your food, your water, nervous system reset. We're going to get into all of this on a much deeper level because this is also, again, my gift and sharing my story of what I have learned, what I've done for myself, and the knowing that's come through me. And so now the sex trauma, those three main things that we're talking about today. And again, we're going to break them down in smaller pieces, but things you can do to immediately work on reversing the trauma that's held in you. Let it out. Let it go. Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Feel your feelings. Speak your truth. Talk about the things that you've experienced that have created that trauma in your womb. If you've listened to any of my prior episodes, I was very much in a rage existence when I started this podcast, and I was just letting it unleash, talking about all the things that I have lived through and the people that did them to me, and a lot of it was rape trauma. But talking about it and getting it out is healing, and will literally feel contractions in your womb a lot of the times when that healing is happening for you. Communicating to your partner what feels loving to you, what feels good to you, and creating a dialogue is how you can improve and heal trauma. And orgasms, masturbation and orgasms, knowing how to pleasure yourself so that you can communicate that to your partner is key. And actually having a climax, having an actual orgasm, the contraction in the tissue. Remember how we talked about earlier, you have to move energy through your tissue in order to heal it, shaking things out. Orgasms are contractions of the tissue. When that tissue is contracting, when those muscles are moving and contracting, that is working that energy out of that area and replacing trauma with pleasure. And let's talk about juicy orgasms, ladies, because nobody wants to talk about it. And we've made it this taboo thing. Ooh, a light just popped on outside. And when Yeshua referred to the living waters, when we talk about the living waters, they're also within our bodies. And you are actually meant to release fluids when you're having a full orgasm. Those are your living waters. And that is normal. And we've turned it into this oh, can you squirt thing? all women can. Not all women do because of what they're holding on to. And I will tell you, we're going to get into this. We'll get into this in the next episode. I'm going to write it down. I had some really intense experiences this summer going through womb trauma healing and learning to pleasure myself and learning about releasing and the living waters and living a juicy life and moving the Kundalini energy. Whoo, moving through me right now. We're going to circle back because Tantra, existential kink, the living waters, the Kundalini energy, this is a lot of the Druid mysticism, the Celtic mysticism. This is a lot of what Yeshua came to teach, actually, and was teaching, and was removed. Plant medicine as well. Cannabis for relaxing the tissues and sex. Actually, had a really great conversation with a guy in Amsterdam that was working a stroopwafel place. Ended up sitting down and talking to him when we were talking about cannabis use, and he was like, I use it for sex because I feel like it helps me relax, but other than that, I don't want to use it at all. But using it topically and ingesting it is actually helpful in releasing tension as well in sexual scenarios, sexual encounters, and just helping everybody relax a little bit. If everybody would just calm the fuck down. You need to calm down. Everybody. We all need to calm down. We all need to remember what it's like to have fun. We all need to remember pleasure. Ooh, 117 on the timer when I said that. Because that's what we're here to do. And everybody has gotten so serious. So serious these days. So we need to eat better. We need to exercise. We need to breathe more. And we need to have orgasms. And we need to have fun. Does that sound so bad? Nope. But we're here to talk about it. I am what I vow to do for you after this podcast is finished, pulling together the spreadsheet that I have started of all the supplements that I started taking to work on my to help with my nervous system, to help with parasite detox, and to help with immunity. And as well as neuroplasticity and cognition in the brain. So we're talking gut health, we're talking nervous system health, we're talking brain health, we're talking immune system, which is directly related to your gut. So I'm going to share those supplements with you. And I'm also, you can't see it here, but I've got all these bins where I've started pulling out where I'm creating oil mixtures and salt soaks, right? Baking soda soaks for your feet, salt soaks for your body. Ooh, that was nice. I caught that. Oil work, that is also plant medicine. When we talk about plant medicine, everybody thought when I said plant medicine, it means I'm doing ayahuasca in the basement and sacrificing chickens. And it's like, no, I'm making chamomile tea and putting lavender oil on. That is also plant medicine because guess what? They're plants. And every plant has a spirit. And they're all here to teach you something and show you something or help you with something. Because God put everything we needed on this earth before men came in and decided, let's change it. So, all the plastic stuff, the pharmaceuticals, the genetically modified, all this stuff isn't the natural means of taking care of ourselves that we already had on this planet before it got manipulated for us, or before everybody decided they needed convenience. Most of the things that are convenient or done to speed things up for us aren't necessarily healthy. So I got a whole bin over here of dried mushroom supplements and gut powders and collagen and creatine and maca and turmeric and cinnamon and passion flower, cloves, all this fun stuff. And over here we got sea salts, Himalayan salts, Castile soap, shea butter, more cinnamon, honey. Honey, we're going to talk about the healing powers of honey, because honey is the basis of so much that is healing for your gut, for your skin, all of it. And there's a reason. Why do you think they tell us not to give it to our kids under the age of 1? It's not because of, is it botulism that they tell us not to give it to them? It's because they want us to pump our children full of vaccines for all of these illnesses that, pen drop on that one. Yeah, they want us to pump our kids full of vaccines for all of their immune stuff and medical issues instead of using the natural remedies that are already available to us that our ancestors knew about long before pharmaceuticals came into the picture. Hear that throat chakra? Someone trying to clog me up on that one. I'm making another note here. The next things that we're going to talk about. But we're at an hour and 20 here, and I think it's going to be time to wrap it up. I've talked about so much. And again, action items for your gut health. Cut out the dairy, cut out the gluten, cut out the dead animals. Yeah, we're not supposed to eat them. Cut out the alcohol. Cut out the sugar. There's 5 things right there that you can work on. You don't have to do all of them at once. Cut out the dead animals first if you're going to pick one. Sugar second. I mean, they're all very important. Sugar, dead animals, and sugar right there. But those are 5 things that you can do immediately that I promise you will change your life, change your gut health, change your brain health, and change how you feel in your heart right off the bat. Nervous system reset as you start coming out of a fear, trauma-based existence, or if you're somebody that just already regularly experiences the anxiety because that's your soul on the inside, knowing that you're existing in something that doesn't feel safe to you. You're safe in your body. Rebalancing that nervous system, some things that you can do right off the bat, action items that I'm going to give you right here. Here's a fun one. Coloring, making art, doing something with your hands. Where'd it go? Guess what I'm starting to do? Oh, I am knitting with my hands to get tension, to get trauma out of your hands, because you create with your hands. You also hold a lot of trauma in your hands. So doing something with your hands, whether it's making art, whether it's taking up knitting, whether it's taking up some sort of woodwork or something. Yoga. Taking up regular meditation. Breath work, that box breathing that I taught you whenever you're feeling anxious. And regular exercise. Those are 5 things right off the bat that you can do. Create with your hands, breath work, yoga, exercise, meditation. 5 things right there you can do to help with your nervous system. Not even including the plant medicine, because there's all kinds of stuff. Lemon balm, kava. Kava makes you calmer. I like that. Kava makes you calmer. Lavender. Those are essential oils you can put in a diffuser, or incense you can burn, or things you can just literally get a lotion or something yummy that you can put right on your skin, a scent that you can help relax you, calm you down. Sex trauma. Again, feeding into the nervous system, but also feeding into your joy and happiness, because it's something that we should be having on a regular basis. It should be fun, and it should be enjoyable, and it should be had on a regular basis in order to keep your body in tune. So when you're not doing those things on a regular basis, figuring out why, if it's communication with your partner, a lot of times your food's going to affect that, because what you're putting in your gut affects your sexual energy. So if you're making changes to your food and your exercise, you're automatically going to start seeing changes in your sex life too. They're all linked together. But talking about what you like, finding out what you like by pleasuring yourself and not being ashamed of it, letting out your feelings and emotions, having actual orgasms and not just like giving up because it's taking too long or something along those lines. Having the orgasms, and I'm going to tie back into the food and the exercise. Like, I know it's putting responsibility on other things to affect your sex life, but again, they're all tied in together. So if you want to have a better sex life, it's like doing things you enjoy. Doing things you enjoy will actually drive your sexual energy. Making sure you're eating healthily and exercising affects your sexual energy. Having orgasms increases your sexual energy. Being honest about what brings you pleasure, no matter how kinky it is. Be honest. Let it out. Live long and prosper. Am I doing it? Live long and prosper. You can reverse age. And what was the first one? Communication. Talking about what you like. Oh, finding out what you like for yourself. Masturbation. Enjoying, figuring out your own pleasure so that you can communicate it to your partner, so that you can actually have orgasms. And that increases your sexual energy through taking care of other parts of your life, your exercise, your food, and doing things you enjoy. 5 things you can do right there. So I give you 15 things, more than 15 things on this podcast that you can do to take care of your food, to take care of your body, to calm your nervous system, and to improve your sexual energy, which is your life force, and your sexual relationship with your partner. There's going to be so much more that we talk about, but I'm making notes on additional things to get into. And that's the stuff that's been hidden from us and taken away from us, and we've been put into this like slave race mentality instead of knowing that we are divine beings, that this is like, these are the things that we're entitled to in our lives. These are the things that are our birthright as human beings to have, our joy, to have healthy bodies, to have healthy minds, to have a healthy sex life, to have healthy relationships, because those trickle down and affect our children. And at the end of the day, it is all about making it better for our kids, right? And learning from our children too, because they're here to teach us on a regular basis. Writing that one down, learning from your kids. My kids, my 2 daughters, are like straight up little star seeds and give me messages all the time. And I realize now, looking at them, like how much I was doing that for my parents, but was completely given the like, sit down and be quiet, because you're here to listen to your elders. We're not here to listen to you. And if you actually give your kids a chance, like from the mouths of babes, what did Yeshua come to tell us? That the joy of a child, the mind of a child, is what gets you into the kingdom of heaven. So when you can start enjoying life with a childlike innocence and a childlike joy, then you're in the kingdom of heaven. Because the kingdom of heaven is also up here. As above, so below. As above, so below. As above, so below. And we'll leave it at that for today. What do you think? I love you. And if nobody's told you that today, I'm going to say it, and I mean it. Because I have unconditional love for everybody. We're all part of the one. Doesn't mean you give access of yourself to everybody. Protecting your energy is another one that we'll put on for next week. Protecting your energy, learning from your kids. Yeah. We're all here to love each other, uplift each other, share our talents and our gifts with each other. So let's do that. I just recently started a Facebook community that I am branching out onto Patreon and through my website. It's called the High Vibe Tribe. I will put a link down in the show notes to my group. Please join. We just started it. It is going to be a place where I'm going to be hosting conversations, events, workouts, sharing supplement information, ways to rebalance your nervous system, ways to co-create new earth together, and to give people a safe place to just be themselves. Because it's something I didn't have a lot. And right now, I would like to be for you the coach and supporter in your journey that I didn't have, either throughout my life or even in the last year in my ascension journey, because that is what Yeshua came to teach with Mary Magdalene is ascension. And that's what we're all going through right now in this great awakening. If you're open to it and awake for it, and you're finding yourself wanting this information, and you're going, what am I doing? Life is changing. I've woken up to all the crap going on around me. You're on your ascension journey. Welcome. Welcome to your ascension journey. I am here to help you as much as possible because I'm also a mirror for you. Like, if you have found this page, it's not by accident. The universe sent me to you. You called me to you. You asked for this. You were like, hey, I need someone to come in. The trees are waving hi. And wake me up. Oh, getting back into nature. That's another way to ground and calm your nervous system. That's why I'm literally in Berkeley Springs. I've walked 2 hours barefoot today in the woods. Some people look at you like, what is this lady doing? And it's like, no, I'm grounding. Let your freak flag fly. Let your freak flag fly. Say that 5 times fast. Let your freak flag fly. Don't be afraid to be you. Be your most authentic self, because that's who you were gifted to the world to be. Ooh, I like that. That's who you were gifted to the world to be, is your most authentic self. So no more hiding, no more dimming your light, no more taking a back seat, because I'm not doing that anymore either. So welcome. We're here. There's aliens, extraterrestrials all around. We're already incarnated on this earth for this purpose, and part of it is to help you remember who you are, where we're going as a humanity, and taking our seat in the galactic realm as a planet. It's the Great Awakening. We're remembering. And this time, we're not having a reset. That's another fun thing we'll get into, like lost civilizations. We're all just like buried on top of each other. And can we discuss like ancient Europe, where everybody's like, oh my God, the architecture is incredible. I can't believe they did this with like chisels and really tall ladders. They didn't do it with chisels and really tall ladders. A lot of that is old infrastructure left from prior civilizations that just didn't get erased in whatever the reset was, where they brought in children, Cabbage Patch Kids. That's a fun one to talk about. To restart humanity, and they didn't question anything. Pyramids built by guys with what, ropes, pulleys, and some wedges and wheels. Nope. Vibration, frequency, levitation, and giants. Because magic is real. Wait until everybody starts seeing the unicorns. You can go play with fairies in the forest right now. The veil is thinning. The frequencies and the vibrations are raising. There's stuff all around us that you've just never been aware of. And people are starting to realize it now because you're changing your vibration and your frequency. So it's buckle up, buttercups, because shit's going down. It's really happening now. It's really happening. And we're here for it. I'm here for you. I am literally going to put my contact information in the show notes. You want to call me? You want to send me a letter? You want to send me an email? You want to join my Facebook group? Do it. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your story. I want to hear crazy awakening stories as well. Mine was crazy, and I'm starting to share it more. I've shared it on other podcasts, but I have another podcast called Do Something Different that also I was just on Spotify only, and now we are on like 8 podcast platforms. And I say we like it's a whole team of people. It's me and all my personalities when I say we. That's the next one we'll get into. What's in a tattoo? This is my trinity of who I had to be for women growing up, Cinderella cleaning up everybody else's messes, helping them get ready for the ball. Tiana kissing the frogs in the swamp, staying with guys that I didn't really want to be with because everybody's like, but he's such a nice guy. Give him another chance. Give him another chance. If you break up with him, it'll ruin the group dynamic. So you should just stay with him. Guess that what that does. That leaves all kinds of psychological and sexual trauma when you're in relationships with people you don't really want to be in. But that's light magic, dark magic. Mix them together. They come into my caramel, beautiful Native American spirit, who's a past life that I've tapped into. The name Kaiya, my priestess name that I have accepted, my shamanic name, um, which also means sea and victory and triumph. And it's not just for me, it's for a collective. She's also my plant medicine queen. And um, deserves a lot of respect. And that's what comes out of the balance. She's the balance. So here we go, rock and roll. Thank you for being here tonight. Love, light, a little go yourself if you aren't here for it, because that's just where we are. So be your authentic self, and I love you. Have a good night.